Welcome back viewers, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries and anyone with ears or other sound detection organs. Hope you enjoy. We are continuing with Going Native, written by Uncle Sealing. Going Native, Chapter 65. Jelsai found herself feeling strangely on edge as she approached the hotel, a large flat box tucked under one arm. There were unfamiliar humans all over the place, the workers Sammy had hired to build their telescope duded. Sammy himself was standing out to the side of the building, a thin leather leash attaching the physicist to some sort of small mobile puffball. Jelsai approached carefully. Stace had sent her some pictures of the puppy, and she didn't want to accidentally squish it. "Hey Jelsai!" Sammy grinned and swung their hands out wide to encompass the entire facility, not seeming to notice as the tiny dog tried to jump up into their arms. Even with Sammy's small stature, the creature was still at least a meter too short. "Isn't this exciting? I figured you'd be meeting your new minions, not playing with Stace's dog. I'm just helping out since he's not allowed out of bed for the next couple of days. He said I'm the only dog sitter he could find that was willing to be paid exclusively in candy." Jelsai couldn't help a laugh. "You mean the candy those desperate women have been sending him?" "Yeah. Don't worry, though, I didn't take anything with your name on it." Why would anything have my name on it?" "I don't know. Something about being Stace's spouse." Elora seemed pretty upset. "Shit. I will clear it up." Jelsai would have to find Lieutenant Elora and talk to her. Sammy nodded, then shoved the leather leash into Jelsai's free hand. "All right, I'm going to go run around and chat with people. I just saw someone I know and now I need to catch up. You can bring Potato back to Stace." Before Jelsai could say anything, Sammy was just gone. She turned her head just in time to see them fling the hotel door open and disappear inside. Impressive speed considering the short legs. Jelsai looked at the tiny tan fur ball on the end of the leash. "Potato, eh?" The walk into the hotel ended up taking way too long. Jelsai would take one step, the puppy would take 20 or so, then Jelsai would take another step. It didn't help that Potato seemed to want to go everywhere except forward. Finally, she gave up and just tucked the animal under one arm. She had expected it to put up a fight, but it was clearly more than happy to travel high speed, little legs kicking in the air. Jelsai ended up being able to slip into the hotel, but needed to put the dog down to knock at Stace's door. Askel was doing some work in the medical office, sorting boxes of supplies, and gave her a friendly nod. She smiled in return and, hearing a yell from the other side, entered once again into Stace's apartment. "Inspector Chelza." Elora was standing in the doorway to Stace's bedroom. Her look was cold. Jelsai decided to play it straight, just be nice and hopefully address Elora's concerns. "Hello, Elora. How is Stace doing?" "I'm good." The voice was muted, coming from through the door. "Come on in." Elora stepped back into the room and made way for Jelsai as she strode into Stace's bedroom. She only remembered the dog stuffed under her arm when it started barking. She plopped it gently onto the floor and it immediately climbed a stack of boxes to get onto the bed and Stace's lap. "Hey Stace." He looked like he was about to speak, but Jelsai held up a hand. "I want to start by apologizing. I met Sammy on the way in and they said you've been getting some weird stuff about us being married. It's all right, it was Sam's idea anyway. It got those sex pests to clear out of the hospital room, and that was the important thing." Stace pointed back out the door. "The coffee table has a pile of presents addressed to you. I guess they are trying to get to me through you?" "I don't know. I didn't open any of it. It's all yours." Jelsai nodded. "Speaking of presents." She held up the box she had carried with her. "I was planning on giving you this for your birthday, but I figured you might need it early." She could see Ellora watching intently from the side of the room. You don't need to get me anything, Jill. That sort of thing just isn't really important to me. Jelsai noticed the small smirk on Ellora's face from the corner of her eye, and felt a little ember of competitiveness burn hot in her chest. I think you'll like this anyway. The box wasn't wrapped aside from a piece of ribbon holding it closed. Stace carefully untied the bow, taking care with try and keep his right arm steady as he pulled the fabric, then removed the lid. Potato stole the piece of ribbon and ran off with it to try to dress up with it. The critter was rolling around holding the ribbon and quickly getting tangled. Pets really were a mystery. This is nice. Stace's face lit up with a grin as he pulled the long coat from the box. It was a twin to Jill size, though it was hunter green instead of black. Ellora, can you help me up? I want to try it on. You're supposed to stay in bed. The Marine grumbled but still came to the bed and began helping Stace to his feet. If I can walk to the bathroom, I can try on a coat. Jelsai felt her lips curl in a smile as the human slipped first one arm, then the other into the soft fabric. His eyebrows furrowed for a moment. It's heavier than I expected. It's armored. It also has embedded temperature control, so it truly is an all-weather garment. Ha! Stace was feeling at the pocket under his left arm. He stumbled over to his dresser and pulled it open. Jelsai had a moment of confusion that rapidly turned into panic as the man pulled out one of the largest human handguns Jelsai had ever seen. He checked that it was empty, then tried slipping it into the coat's integrated holster. It's a bit of a tight fit. Stace, you can't carry a gun around. It's not. He has a temporary permit to go armed. It's good for the next 10 days or until he finishes his training course for a permanent carry license. Ellora smirked. I can pull some strings too when I have to, and Stace is officially a member of the Painter Observatory security staff. Jelsai closed the distance to Ellora and offered her a fist bump and as friendly a smile as she could manage. Good thinking. I was worried about him, and it's good to see you've got his safety well in hand. Ellora's smile was nervous, but the returning bump was firm. The coat made a fluttering noise as Stace gave it a little bounce. Ellora, how badly am I printing? Both women turned to look at him. Not bad for now, but we're going to get you a different holster to get that out from your shoulder and probably find you a flatter gun. Cross-draw holsters are for idiots anyway. I use a shoulder holster. Jelsai felt a little spark of anger, but Ellora's face looked sheepish. She wasn't making a jab at Jelsai, just stating her opinion. And it was the opinion of a woman with a lot more combat experience than Jelsai had. Why is it bad? I can show you. Unload your pistol and save it, I'll do the same with mine. Jelsai pulled her pistol, then removed the power cell and made sure it was set to safe just in case of a residual charge. She looked up just in time to see Ellora tucking her own small pistol into a holster in her waistband. The pistol had been completely invisible under the fabric of the Marine's shirt. Ellora took a couple steps back and faced Jelsai, probably 3 meters between them. Jelsai was reminded of those Western films her brother had been obsessed with last year, with the gunfighters squaring up. The tension was broken by the sound of Stace flopping back into bed, still wearing the coat. Go ahead and draw your pistol whenever you'd like. Act like you're going to shoot me. Ellora grinned at Jelsai, and the investigator knew then that she was not going to succeed. Ellora was going to outdraw her. Still, this could be a learning experience. She reached for her gun. By the time Jelsai had a hand on the grip of her pistol, Ellora had already closed the distance. One hand came up and grabbed at her wrist, keeping the pistol tucked in her armpit while the Marine's other hand came up for a blow to the side of Jelsai's head, stopping just short. That wasn't how this was supposed to go at all. The grin on Ellora's face was gone and she was all business as she explained. When you cross-draw, you have to swing your dominant arm all the way across the body and back. It's a lot of distance to cover in a bad situation, and even if you do manage to get to your gun, you can't do anything with it. As long as I'm holding your wrist like this, if you try to shoot, you'd just end up firing into the area behind your back or shooting yourself. The ideal pistol position is as close to the neutral position of your dominant hand as possible. Elora released Jelsai's wrist and stepped back, putting her hands back to her sides. Now you try. Jelsai charged and got maybe half the distance before there was a pistol pointing at her stomach. Elora's arm had slipped up just enough to push up the shirt and snag the gun in one motion, elbow swinging to shoot from the hip. Ha! Even if you got close enough to grab my hand, as long as I can clear the holster, it's already pointed at you. I can just start pulling the trigger and aim for your feet or legs. Elora pulled a power cell out of her pocket and reloaded the pistol, then slipped it back into place. Thank you. That was enlightening. That's basically why I made a chest harness for Iwing. The pair of women turned to Stace, lying on the bed and pantomiming drawing a pistol from the centerline of his torso. If you get knocked down, pounced on by an animal, or fall while being chased, the easiest place to grab a gun is right here. If it's on your waist, it might get snagged on something, and if an animal is on top of you, there isn't much of a chance of a full cross-draw. Jelsai took a moment to think. As an interior agent, she was trained in combat. As an investigator, she had gotten into multiple shootouts with rogue agents. Violence was not new to her, yet talking to Elora, and even Stace, made her feel like there was a massive gap in her understanding. She had never had a fight break out that she didn't know was going to happen. Combat was something she planned, not something that just happened to her. Clearly she had a lot to learn. Lieutenant Elora. The Marine straightened at the use of her title. I know you are quite busy, but might I be able to borrow some of your time? I would like you to run me through some drills and teach me what you can. Stace might not always be there to save my ass. Elora grinned. It will be my pleasure. There was something immensely satisfying about being the first person to use a mattress. Chandler stretched out and let out a little sigh. The hotel room was pretty nice, and, after getting their work assignments for tomorrow, work crew had the rest of the day to relax. He considered swinging down to the pool for a swim, but the thought of a bunch of shill hitting on him seemed draining. His wife wouldn't approve anyway. The omnipod on the bed next to him let out a cute little meow noise, and Chandler smiled to himself. His daughter had been practically vibrating with excitement when he told her that he was going to be doing some work at the observatory. Erika, hey Dad. Chandler, what's up? Get all your homework done? Erika, yep. How's the museum? Erika, are there any new exhibits? Erika, did Sammy say hi? Chandler held the pad in front of him and watched the screen scroll as his twin daughter barraged him with questions. When she was done, he finally managed to reply. Chandler, I'm in the new hotel. Haven't checked out the museum yet. I saw Samuel this morning but no Sammy. I will tell them you say hi. Erika, oh. Chandler, here's something for you, though. He pulled up his photo app and attached a picture he snapped from the front doors. Erika, dude. Erika, dude. Erika, is that a spaceship? Chandler, yep. It belongs to the observatory. I bet they are going to use it for space tours once we're done with this project. Erika, dude. Iwing felt his blood turn cold as he opened the door into his parents' suite. 6 chairs in a semicircle, his dad in the middle and flanked by all of Iwing's moms. Across from them was a single small chair. It looked like it was time for some sort of inquisition. He hadn't seen a layout like this since he set the neighbor's shed on fire back when he was 8. With a sigh, He ran his fingers through his hair, giving it a little bit of extra bounce, and sat straight in the seat. He would be calm and composed while he figured out what was going on. Perhaps preempting them would be the thing to do. Eyeing Alice started. "We wanted to talk to you, AB. I'm not moving back home." The look of confusion that flashed on everyone's faces was telling in its own way. A bad sign. "Living on this base is boring, but I can't leave my friends." "That's no. Besides, we are going to be in a position to make some serious money here. Our next project will be super exciting, I'm sure." Eyeing. Rena managed to stop his babbling just in time. He was about to run out of things to say. "That's not what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the human." Eniki, Eyeing's oldest mom, though third by marriage, sounded dour, and every face in the room turned to glare at her. Her face flushed, eyes turning downcast. "Stace," Alice said. "His name is Stace." Eniki nodded, and now Eyeing could feel the panic set in a little. Panic, resignation, and then, calm. The fear began to drain away. This conversation was always going to happen. He had prepared for it as best he could, mentally and emotionally. It would just have to run its course. We wanted to know how you feel about him." Rena was trying to keep her voice even. She was even managing to do a decent job. "It has been obvious even since your first letters that you're fond of him and, well, he's a human. You know the rumors." Eyeing nodded. "I love him." You could have heard a dust mote hit the carpet, the room became so still. "When you say love, do you mean?" Alice frowned. "You know, Dad, I want you to take a moment and decide if you really want to know the details of your son's sex life." Eyeing stared his father eye to eye, something he never really had done before. Alice broke the contact first. "What is he to you?" That was Eniki again. She was frowning, clearly upset. Two fingers were tapping in an uneven staccato on the armrest of her seat. "His family." Eyeing held up a hand for silence while he collected his thoughts. "Out there, in the wilderness, Stace saved our lives. Ella and I both wouldn't have even made it out of the shuttle. But that's not the reason, not really. Out there, he was empty. He didn't move out there to be alone, he was waiting to die. When it came time to make the hard decisions, he was willing to give up everything left to keep us alive. We couldn't let him die. And we couldn't leave him the way he was. Ella and I decided in that cabin that Stace was ours. He gave up his life to keep us alive, and we are keeping it. We both love him, and we are never going to let him hurt like that again. That's all there is to it." Eyeing's words seemed to hang in the air. He realized that he was standing, voice raised and tears sliding down his face. He plopped bonelessly back onto the chair and did his best not to ugly cry. "Well, I suppose that settles it." Jella was the newest of Eyeing's moms. She was young enough to be somewhere between a mom and a sister to Eyeing, and, when she smiled at her son, Eyeing felt the tension slip from his body. "We're going to need to throw a party." "A party?" Eyeing's voice was rough, choked with emotion and confusion. "A welcoming party." Eniki nodded, as much approval as Eyeing really needed. "If this Stace is a part of the family, we should make sure he knows it." Now Eyeing really was ugly crying. He couldn't help it. End of chapter. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss any episode and do all the other YouTube stuff. Visit and support the author, and I'll see you next time. If you didn't enjoy, comment on what I can do better. And as usual, have a wonderful day.